Okay, no course. Ik zie gewoon nog aan tekstmsta. Tawa ninna katei sku tu te penu madakito. Ik heb ze daar weer genoeg thuis toe. Maar dan is tekstmsta was. Dan gaat ze niet opgebouwd. Ook kaarsen nog niks. Zo dat met skitstaja. Ik kakana in stawap. Ik zou het tussen het op zo. Ik zie kimmotsi. En ik kijk toe. Ik zei dat u is op zo stika kisten. En dan weet zo goed zo. What they say, we took this trip for all back home to be peace, and one another, be kind and share. They came back, they just mind their business to show us what freedom is than that for. They did their best to be kind and work together. They got the Red Belt Society, they started. It came along for a while, and then they started to fade away. As today, we are scattered. It's sad. Today, I don't know all of you because we all pursuing something else, seeking. The clock says you better be there. The time before they won, the time was the sun. The sun was the one that motivates all of us. Certain time, one night, couples, I'll be there, and that's it. So we kind of lost quite a bit. Especially relationship. I don't think all of you guys know me. Since I've been here, I was told, who are you? Trakisto. I've been here for 90 years, I don't know. I'm fading away now. Like I'm saying, hopefully, I'll be here next year. I'm getting weak, more problem with my health, and I would like to see everybody to join hands every once in a while. Glad to meet you. Just acknowledgement, it's a gift and a wake-up. My grandsons, nephews, nieces, hi, uncle. Okay, I don't know them. And I don't want to ask questions. Who's your mom? Who's your dad? It's very sad. Very sad. I often think, them old people are just acting. Now I find out for myself. It's so difficult. Even to get up and to do something, I ache. So with this, I'll just say a few words to you. Now, there's one thing you can carry. As far as you can hang on to, kindness, acknowledgement. It's all we need left. It's hard when people go senile. It's very sad. And I'm going to pray for the veterans and their relatives that he left behind. And we all have grandparents. They're gone. We had to get back to unity. I don't like to smudge, to talk. I tried to. One of the old members of the society, he chastised me. That's smudging. He says, why come here and talk to the wall? You spent so many years in the sweat lodge, Central Lodge. How can you can't keep that? Mukak, scraping white. They're really strict people. And it's over 40 years I continue to do this. I'm going to pray, but I had this, I was given some 40 years ago to keep and use it. This is the route we live by at Sundance. Lucky to have one, able to retrieve one, so retain mine to use it in a very sacred way. Pray for the ones of our grandfathers, uncles, relatives that took the stand and fought for peace. What we see on the picture, it's all we know. And we don't know how hardship they went. My dad won't talk about it. But other guys outside, they know him. The things they gone through. He said, we get soaking wet and cold, nothing to change into. We dry them in our stomach. So this is something that will never happen to us. For us, it's so good. So these are very things I've heard. Like the other day, they're talking about vimerage. My dad was the second one to get on top of the hill. He heard a war cry. A German's friend. I don't know if all of you heard about it. Guys that he was in the army with me, he says was the second man up there. I'm going to see it at the armory Mr. Mason is going to demonstrate it to me. So now we're going to have Friday for us. We can't get together to pray together. So I'm not going to be here. I'm going down there. Like the time we used to have it here, we gather around, it's not there. So I'm going down to Lethbridge and join them. From there, I'll take the reef home. And the very last thing my dad told me, the night we stayed at the camp, that day he was in a parade, Indian Day, and he talked about it. Those bullets are just warm, but I'll just sleep it off. He says, I'll tell you, Charlie, when I'm gone, make sure pour some rum on my rug. Before we go out, we get rum. And don't forget the rum. The next morning, I take him up to his ride over there and stop my hand. His last word, Charles, don't forget the rum. That same evening, he went to bed, and that was it. That was 1976. He stopped my hand before he got into the truck. Oh, said Charles, huh? Don't forget the rum. And that's what I do every year, pour rum on. He says, when you're doing it for me, use the rum. With that, who's got rum around here? And with that, I'm going to start praying. Okay, nap. Ai nap. Ai kita khataka penat satak. Aamuksen oko siksinnes pukitek kita päätä piimä. Nakakse okamo taatuhpinaan niin päätä piis. Ai topkina minna nikso taptsikstoja. Nakitik taapaikin naa päätä piisinä. Oh, kin topkina mai pukaanikapi. Ai kitskoto. Kikataiskot kaihto pano marakitää pois. Oh, kikitskopokan. Teitsi tapii yksi kokous. Oh, kikini kaisapsohat sikotsa. Ai naapiaki. Ai kohat kuisoka pioakenaaki. Hädötä taapis pinnaana. Oh, käyksaaki niskäiksaaki. No koosaa. Ahei taama opatum. Ahki taamas tuimiiksaavak. Hänikaakististum sinikaak. Aina pinoksen pukaemuukinnaan. Ai, kun kaikista kuitsenakaan. Hogan sohkaamaa siiksaak. Ainak sohtussenootspennaan. Ainikaan kihtavattua ja kenniks tuhkinääminä sitä piiminnään. Ihtopamiksi ei piävä kukituvakt. Ikkahkaan naappissiin nootauksua. Hogan kääkää huomannistaksivaa. Hogan omiakia kukaatsinaa. Anemaithan apamsoja. Eikä nahana skuutuja. Jos pomokitaakin naapi. Kohtuukitaan aamuksi nopskikkoja aamuksi assi tapiksi. Ei täytä hanaukkuusemmaja. Jos pomokitaakin. Aivakojaappi. Varikustaakin mukaakin. Kistoakin kannesti puhutukipua. Nakuavat tahtoksi. Ja kuhkitsi pissohtsikaakin. Ei vannistoa katuomenikaan tuussimaan. Hänenkin stikkinä sinne päätäpiisin. Hoganikaan kääksiksi komeniksi soiksa. Akku hänäsokaapi. Akku kanottuuvanniksi kutsita piimiksi. Akku kitaapäinnispua. Hänenkaan nyt taapäinnis katsomaan. Hoganstakaa kipuu kauakaisista. Aikipista pipiävä kakahokanaskoutkai. Hogan muuta pissinaa kippistä pumakassa. Ahkai taamaskoutkaiksi mäu kuoava. Hoko suava eksaksoastu. Aksoa nootsia. Aksoa patsiksi mäuannikaan auksensi. Hoki kaksi kuakin sitä puolkahpinaa. Adokiva taavaksisena taapiva. Ainak sohtussenootspinna. Ainak kohtuukinna. Hoganotisistaapihpinna. Akuk kääpimskatuhpinna naamu. Ano nohtukanuhpinna. Anekruhanista pajaksumu. Nohksis pomokita. Hoganakakia sitapivak. Aksuatksissa tapiakin seippumaappi. Ikskä johkonesto toukennaana. Anikaakin nohat paipuja otauksissa tapiipia nismakaappiista. Aidäkäks sitä sohtsohkiopia niin kattoa tstaa. Anikaakin nohtska ja ikiitsi otapisina toa. Nudissokoosinaanik, nukoosinaanik, isu tapsissa tapi. Ahkukkoi piikkoi siis tonaap. Aina kohdistaa päänsä katsomattua. Hogan maapio. Essohtsi kakko hatsi taamo, että kanipstaa pia. Ahku hatsi taamo, isännekin sepiotsi otapiisin. Hoganikaakin näin siikiitsi pätkten teitsitä päätä pihpi muuta passa. Tratako hatsta katohto. Ai, tradaksu puhtsissa ta. Ai, tradako kaksu mukaan. Ai, kita mikkinä pihpano teitsi pois. Hogan maatahkuikin. Tää kohkomanista aikaakin. Tää komanista. Ne pitää vaan nata ja avaavat sipjouk. Häneen istäisi natkuim tapua uhkaa. Häneenkin näyttää sukoteitsikak. Näyttää sokilla kääkin, vaan no tsitsinit spomokani päätäpi. Jokosi, ahkaksaappi. Käno maapi sokosuak. Ahkitaan mahpukseimiäksi. Hänenkä maakuuksikoin. Hänenkä taakuuksikoin. Ahkaitaan mohkana jokousiksi. Kohteet sapuja. Hänenkä mannista pinstoaapi. Niin päätäpiis. Kataatsi tawahsuu, penkätsi ikämanista. Kihka nää kakitaamastuimio. Enohat tahkoi koonekaasu. Jaakuhatsi tuo maksaskimukoi. Häneen kuhat honaitaamassissa puukoo. Häneenkaan nyt taappäänti katsomaan. Naap. Akuhkoisistona pianohni taajohtokohs. Maatsikseni paatsu tytakseko. Naattoa vattoa aamu noskitsuppa. Näit sapsta nohtoa vattoa. Kapsoa vattoa se vaatkuiskaas. Hale kanis taappaat katsuma. Oo kahkane taamoani tka. Hale kitsiksiksumatsinurpa. Häkimmutsi. Hauakammutsi. Haakisawaatsi. Han.
Niksuukkuaukak, niin stoakouk Makiinima. Oukia, kitkonääksumatsum puan haaksiistikui. Hamuksi mohkutukskaks, oukia, nippitaama nukuussenaaniksa, nessukuussenaaniks, tiktaat siis kaas pinnaan kistoa, annikski itauhkaatsiiksi. Onkin nekseniksi tsenssenoksiksi makitsenapsaa mukaan uhkaatsiisin. Maatuma ei sammuatsiksa. Saaki huo käätä pieniksikä. Itä uhkaatsiksi saa käätä piia. Keno ei kunnat sitä piia. Okei, kiston on ikänääksuukuamma ja ikänääksuukuammaksi ei kiksuukuan on kiissennuuniksi itahkautsia. Okei, kun tässä miipui ja sitä muhti kiniitäkin ja niinkö mahtsiipuissa maanestaapispi. Maanestaapispi, maanestikimmatapispi mukaan kautsiisen. Kimattaiksi pujuansa. Sektai ne stotsi kanni takiustoa manst spumkatuhpia kistonnon makukumanistashissani kipäätäpioksen. Maatsi siitä kiuansa miskaksastoi tsemia makumuutsaksaaniksiska nohkiitsemmiksi ja makuttu umuutsaaketukseni nonkitopissinnon. Okis kohta kaaksen nuonakak, niin tapaksestuapsi. Kun näkee kaaksen nuon stamiksuussa, kan näkee Ahkaatsin muuksiseksi keitsetappi onneksi ei tuumaakio. Okei, pohsakin manesti tässä ja niksi kakäätäppi, niin tapas kun taapsi. Annikska ahkaatsinneksi. Okei, niksuukuan nyt aksaappiipui. My traditional name is Makiinima, and I extend my greetings to all of you. And on behalf of the council and on behalf of my family, my wife, our children, our grandchildren, we would like to extend our appreciation to all of you who have engaged in warfare to protect our lands and as well for those of you who have been involved in any of the wars that have taken place. Some took place some time ago, but still others are happening. And we all have older relatives who have been involved in protecting our lands, protecting our way of life. We still have veterans who are still with us today. However, many of them have left for the next, gone into the next realm of our beings. So we really want to extend our thanks, our appreciation to yourselves, to your families, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. I have had the privilege of having older relatives who have engaged in actual warfare in the First Great War the Second Great War, and the subsequent wars that have taken place. I have younger relatives who have engaged in warfare in the later wars that have taken place, such as in Vietnam and in Afghanistan and other places. So I am always honored. I'm always honored to be in their company. I have always had much respect for them, for they have made decisions on their own. They were not forced. They were not forced to join armed forces as other North Americans were forced to. They made those decisions on their own. They wanted to do their part in protecting the rest of us, in protecting the rest of North Americans from the dangers of others trying to take our freedoms, take our lands. So on behalf again of the council, behalf of the tribe, behalf of my family, we offer our thanks, our appreciation to our great warriors, both living and the ones who have left us. Thank you very much.
Okay, Nicho kwa nistoa ko kitu momahka. Anam nenna espigin daw ako tien kenitukok nitsinska simi. Good afternoon, my fellow Blood Indians, members of the Kainai tribe. Today we are doing another virtual session because of the current situation that we are in, which is COVID. We want to ensure the safety, especially of our elders and our children, the babies, because there's a respiratory disease that's going on. So hopefully by next year, next November, we'll be able to have another live Remembrance Day to honor our veterans. We are very pleased to be able to acknowledge and remember all of our veterans that served in the various world conflicts, such as World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Korean War, Afghanistan, Desert Storm. To give you a little bit of history on the Remembrance Day program that we have, in the 80s and even before then, our veterans did not have the ability to be able to celebrate Remembrance Day because there was no forum for them that was available. They were not able to go into the legions to be able to celebrate with their comrades, their fellow national veterans. So they were forced to celebrate at home by themselves. And I witnessed this because my father was a veteran. And I remember the days when he would sit at home with his medals and he would sit there and he would be remembering the conflict that he was engaged in as a young man of 17 years old. He enlisted quite young. He wasn't even 18 when he enlisted, along with the other members from the Blood Tribe for World War II. Our young men and our young women for World War I, World War II, and the ensuing conflicts did not enlist for glory or for honor or to be acknowledged, but they enlisted because of a sense of duty. Shortly after that, in the 80s, the spouses of the veterans and some of our remaining veterans at the time felt the need to come together to be able to begin planning on how they'd be able to celebrate, to honor their spouses and to honor the existing veterans that were still with us at that time. They would get together, bag some lunches, and be able to visit with one another. And then in 1995, Chief and Council, through the request of the spouses and the remaining veterans, had offered to assist them and support them in their endeavors to be able to honor the veterans by providing funding for them. And the first Veterans Day that we had was held outside, and it was extremely cold, and it was done by our monument that Chief and Council had assisted with funding. And the logo that is on the memorial, when you see it outside of our administration building, was designed by Dennis First Rider. He had contributed his artwork, and he did the necessary research. All of the names that are inscribed on that monument were accompanied by all of the honorable discharges that he researched on behalf of the veterans. We have recent veterans that are still among us today from the Blood Tribe, and they engaged in the more recent conflicts. A lot of those veterans today are not ones to glorify themselves, but they are quiet members of our community. The same with our earlier veterans from the earlier wars. They came back and they were able to have families of their own, to support their families in whatever way that they were able to. They became meaningful members of the Blood Tribe that contributed with some of the skills that they had learned on their own in the area of agriculture, in the area of small economic projects that they initiated for themselves and their families. And some were able to support and be able to give back to the community by becoming members of Chief and Council. Now, with the Veterans Day, we have the ability to remember the hardships that our veterans endured when they were in the war. And some of these hardships remained with them when they came back to the reserve. And some of those hardships were then witnessed by their children, by their grandchildren. It was an extremely difficult time for the families. And when the veterans then passed away, the veterans are supporting our initiative by continuing to remember all of the veterans that sacrificed their young childhood by enlisting in the war. It is even more meaningful for us today because through the treaty, our people can never be conscripted. That means they can never be drafted. So our young veterans of the day during World War I, World War II, and the ensuing wars had enlisted because of a sense of duty. They wanted to ensure that we had the ability to live in peace and harmony within our own country, on our own reserves, and hopefully we will be able to continue to live in peace and harmony, and we never have to witness our children, our grandchildren in participating in the wars and to experience the horrendous impacts that they have on them and on the lives that they continue to move forward. So thank you so much for engaging and listening and watching this virtual session of Remembrance Day. May we never forget the sacrifices of our veterans. Thank you.
Hoki ni tsukwa. Nistona ko ke kayamtsinima. O gitkunatsimmatsim pakan artistikueka. Hoki ni tokan tsuka piakkeitsi poyosia. Hoki tsukai ka kima akumanista ayuhtsi si muhka kitsi pusin. Uno katsitan artistikueka kiamatsi a setapitsak. Hani tseidagoksapu artistaya kaki. Apai kahkiminnemaya. Amuhka kitsiskin nonin sanitski itahko tsiitsakaki. Aksa peipoyo sakaki. Hogidat sa pipo. Hello everyone. My name is Travis Plaited here. I'm honored to be asked to share in this message today in Remembrance Day to all of our veterans, not only those from the Blood Tribe, but all First Nations throughout North America and anyone that served in the world wars and other conflicts over the years. I personally have a couple uncles that served in the Second World War, late Horace Cornell and my Uncle Andy standing alone. And there are others, as we all have relatives that served in some of the conflicts. I would like to direct my message this morning, today, to all of our youth and our young people, which is why I chose to speak in English. I wanted to encourage all of you to seek and learn as much as you can about our veterans. It's very important because they served not only us, but all of Canada, United States for that matter. And we're always proud of them. I was always raised to respect our veterans, and we hold them in very high regard within our societies and within our ceremonies. There are certain jobs where in ceremony where it's only a veteran, someone who has actually served, can perform those type of ceremonies. I've been involved in with the societies for a few years, and in my tenure, I was very fortunate, and I guess it was a godsend in some way. Nitaka Kenny Fox, he served in Afghanistan. I think he did 2 terms there. And when he approached me to be a partner, I didn't know he had served. It was only after we were transferred that he told me that he was a veteran. So I was very honored, and I felt that I think he was the very first partner that was an active who actively served in war. So he would often, and still is, asked to participate in naming ceremonies and others. There's one particular ceremony that they do where in the past we've had to borrow from Amskapipikani, some of their veterans. But when we had to do that ceremony, it was a real honor to have one of our own, a young man like Kenny, perform that ceremony for us. So it's extremely important, and my message to all of you today is take the time to ask questions to your family and get to learn not only who the veterans are within your own family, but also throughout Indian country. You have an opportunity to hear some really awesome stories, and use those and carry them on and share those stories so that we never forget. They served us, and it's up to us to keep their memory alive. As my father, I just learned yesterday at the Gunbow Museum, said, for eternity. So I don't know where he got that from, but anyways, thank you for listening, and to all of our veterans who are out there, I hope you have an awesome day today. And to all of our families and especially our young people, Piinaakoyim.
Okikana. The Blackfoot have a long history of traditional and contemporary warriors going into battle with the common foresight of protecting our people. Each of our clans had warriors who faced common enemies with the determination and courage ensuring our safety. The contemporary warriors of today served their countries in world wars and global conflicts with the same fierceness and determination of our ancestors. Each year, many countries around the world commemorate the soldiers who fought and died for the freedom we should never take for granted. We wear this poppy, a symbol denoting the struggles in countless wars by men and women, many of whom gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives, so that we would live our lives in peace. Today, we honor and celebrate the bravery of our soldiers, our warriors, whose lives will live on in memory. Respect, reflect, and remember always. I take this time to also acknowledge our history, our ancestors, elders, societies, Chief Makiinima and Council, to the staff, founders of this recognition service, to Ghana, and to the youth, our future. I would like to also take this time to acknowledge Dr. Lena Russell for her translation of In Flanders Field in honor of our Siksicaitsitapi veterans. Be safe and in remembrance, Nistookok Ito Minnimaki, Maria Russell.
Hokinaksukuaks, Nistuanakok Piinaakoyim Tailfeathers, Nitsitsinop Muhkatok. Today we honor our warriors, those who fought bravely, representing Ghana and Siksicaitsitapi in every major world war. Battles including World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, and the Vietnam War. Contributing to the Canadian Armed Forces, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marines, and the U.S. Navy. We must remember their sacrifices. Many gave the ultimate sacrifice, their life. We acknowledge our warriors, our soldiers, our veterans, past, present, and future. May we always continue to fight for Ghana, fight for peace, and fight for a just cause, lest we forget.
Okay, Niksuk. Anakumkitapi. Anakak. Mokatuks kaw kinino. Anakak matapi tu. Nitanik ko nakok sinaksi po tumo sa nakak. Iskitawakak. Hello, my name is Mike Oka. I've been selected to talk on behalf of the families of the veterans. We've lost so many people during this COVID and before due to the pandemic that was going around. So we have to do this virtually again. Hopefully next year we'll get back into the live events, which are the best, I thought. And it's been a difficult time for us as Blood Tribe members. We remember our fathers, our mothers, aunties that were in the army during those crises. So we are left to stand proud on their behalf. We have to continue to hold ourselves up with that pride and continue to work together for a better future for all our nation members, young and old. We have very young people that don't know a lot about our war veterans, and this is how we can educate them on that. So on behalf of Tribal Government Chair Dorothy First Rider, Chief and Council, we thank you all for taking part in this, and hopefully we'll meet again soon. Thank you.
Honoring our warriors and our veterans. In honor of our traditional warriors of the past who preserved and protected the integrity of Ghana. Spotted calf, bullback fat, 2 sons, black bear, seen from afar, bad head, red crow, thunder chief, crop-eared wolf, sing-back son, 3 bears, weasel horse, medicine shield, running rabbit, rough hare, flying white buffalo, kip fox, sheep old man. Shot on both sides, father of many children, medicine calf, Blackfeet old woman, big snake, medicine sun, big plum, white wolf Rainy Chief. Middle Painted Lodge. Sun Old Man. Bull shakes his tail. Iron Shirt. Calf Shirt. Insect Wild Ear. 3 Guns. Heavy Forehead. Running Coyote. Calf Robe. 1 Spot. High Sun. Red Old Man. Eagle Ribs. Martin. Gambler. Black Plume. Big Wolf. Good Striker. Striped Wolf. White Calf. Eagle Head. Many Spotted Horses. Running Sun. Heavy Shield. Many Mules. Small Eyes. Weasel Tail. Low Horn. Berry Eater. Many Swan. Sitting Bull. Tall Man. Crazy Crow. Eagle Child. Little Crow. Old Moon. Prairie Chicken Old Man. Cross Child. Wolf Plume. Black Forehead. Calling Last. Longtime Squirrel. Black Horse Rider. Past Chiefs, Warriors of Ghana. Voice, Mike Oka Jr. Blackfoot Spelling, Leo Fox.
Okay, next week, amiksikak ninnaaksis kohtsika tanikko nakuksi inskatsaw. Amo matumohtanstaw a pullback fact. Stamiksusak. Ikatsatam. Piinaakoyim, seen from afar. Piinaakoyim. Piinaakoyim, red crow. Me gatestu. Kennak crop-eared wolf. Makuyupistuki. Shot both sides. Atsu Dao. Thunder Chief. Kistikumina. Father of many children. Maatnistukus. Medicine Cat. Natuunstachs. 1 Spot. Nidakis Tipim. Eagle Ribs. Piinaakoyim. Many Spotted Horses. Akakis Tipim. Hun. That's what we have for you today. Thank you.
Honoring the Ghana Blood Tribe War Veterans who served voluntarily to ensure our safety and world peace. World War I and World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War, War in Afghanistan, and the Iraq War. World War I, date 1916, 191st Battalion, Canadian Expeditionary Force, Fort Macleod, Alberta. World War I, Blood Recruits, 191st Battalion, Canadian Expeditionary Force, Fort Macleod, Alberta, 1916. Left to right, back row. George Cummings Singer, died overseas, 1919. Joe Crow Chief, Dave Mills, George Stranglin Wolf, Mike Fox Head, Blackfoot, died overseas, 1917. Left to right, front row. Nick King, Harold Chief Moon, Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Brian, Joe Mountain Horse, Mike Mountain Horse. World War I, Blood Recruits, 191st Battalion, Canadian Expeditionary Force, Fort Macleod, Alberta, 1916. Harold Chief Moon. Harold Chief Moon captured several German soldiers hiding in a building who were retreating, trying to get back to their camp. Orders were shoot on sight. He spared their lives by capturing at gunpoint. Troops stormed a building only to find themselves being gassed. He barely got his mask on while others did not have time. They died from the fumes. He was affected by this altercation and had trouble with his lungs when he returned home. He was a patient at Colonel Belcher Hospital in Calgary. Private George Cummings Singer. Private George Cummings Singer enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 6th of September 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and died overseas of illness on the 14th of January 1919. Private George Cummings Singer. Private George Cummings Singer, burial information, cemetery, Lenhan Cemetery, Kent, United Kingdom, grave reference, 222nd B. Private George Cummings Singer commemorated on page 531 of the First World War Book of Remembrance. Private Joseph Crow Chief. Private Joseph Crow Chief enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 15th of July 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, was honorably discharged on the 4th of April 1919. Private Nicholas King. Private Nicholas King enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 24th of June 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and was honorably discharged on the 9th of June 1919. Nick King of the Blood Reserve in the one-horned headdress he took overseas in the First World War, the Glenbow Archives. Private Nicholas King. Nicholas King receiving medal in Fort Macleod, Alberta. Reproduced with the permission of the Fort Macleod Historical Association. Private Nicholas King. Nicholas King receiving medal in Fort Macleod, Alberta. Reproduced with the permission of the Fort Macleod Historical Association. Private Joe Crow Chief and his brother Nick King. Date 1918. The two men were brothers, one in military uniform, near Fort Macleod, Alberta. Driver Albert Mountain Horse. Driver Albert Mountain Horse, enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 23rd of September 1914, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and was honorably discharged the 4th of November 1915. He died of illness on the 19th of November 1915. Driver Albert Mountain Horse, the only member of the Blood Nation to serve at the front during World War I, was buried in a military funeral at Fort Macleod, Alberta, the 27th of November 1915. Although Canada's native peoples were exempt from compulsory military service, Mountain Horse was one of the first to volunteer after war was declared. He was sent to France, where he was gassed at the Battle of Ypres, developing complications which resulted in his death. Driver Albert Mountain Horse. Albert Mountain Horse. Private Joseph Mountain Horse. Private Joseph Mountain Horse, enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 15th of July 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and was honorably discharged on the 1st of May 1919. Private Mike Mountain Horse. Private Mike Mountain Horse, enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 23rd of May 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and was honorably discharged the 17th of May 1919. Mike Mountain Horse. Private Maurice Prairie Hen. Private Maurice Prairie Hen, enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 2nd of February 1917, served in Canada and Britain, and was honorably discharged the 18th of July 1919. Private George Stranglin Wolf. Private George Stranglin Wolf, enlisted in the Canadian Expeditionary Force on the 26th of June 1916, served in Canada, Britain, and France, and was honorably discharged the 8th of February 1918. World War II. Maggie Badarn, U.S. Armed Forces. Gunner Edward Ted Brave Rock. Gunner Edward Brave Rock, enlisted in the Canadian Army active on the 3rd of July 1940, served in Canada and Britain, and was honorably discharged the 25th of January 1944. Edward Marcus Ted Brave Rock. He enlisted in the Army in 1939, where he was sent to Shiloh, Manitoba for his commando training. From there he embarked for Halifax, Nova Scotia, overseas to England in 1940. He was stationed at London. He was promoted to Lance Corporal and served under the Lanark and Renfrew Regiment, Scottish Regiment. Ted fought in many battles and took part in the liberation of Rome. Roles in the military included being an MP. Ted was injured in a shell shock and became hospitalized. He sailed from Liverpool back to Canada on October 22, 1943. Gunner William Creighton. Gunner William Creighton, enlisted in the Canadian Army active on the 10th of January 1942, served in Canada, Britain, and Northwest Europe, and was honorably discharged the 3rd of July 1945. Private Patrick Eagle Child. Private Patrick Eagle Child, enlisted in the Canadian Army active on the 8th of February 1943 and served in Canada, Britain, and Central Mediterranean area and Northwest Europe and was honorably discharged the 12th of March 1946. Patrick Eaglechild in the Cadets. Private Patrick Eaglechild. Private Tom Holy Singer. Private Tom Holy Singer enlisted in the Canadian Army active on the 17th of January 1942, served in Canada, Britain, and Northwest Europe, and was discharged the 24th of January 1946. Gunner Stephen Mistaken Chief. Stephen Mistaken Chief, World War II veteran. Undermanned, Canadian soldiers battled their way through German troops to rescue British allies who had mistakenly landed behind enemy lines and fought a bitter 5-month battle for survival. Globe and Mail, April 7, 2007. Mistaken Chief 84 was the last surviving veteran of World War II from the Blood Reserve in Alberta, a World War II veteran who spearheaded the fight for equal benefits for Aboriginal soldiers and won. Upon returning home, a war hero in September 1945, Mistaken Chief began his battle for benefits when he learned he did not qualify for the same post-war entitlements as his white comrades. But he was a very forgiving man, recalled journalist Gary Allison, who interviewed Mistaken Chief for a book about Southern Alberta's wartime experience. He knew it was wrong, he was very hurt about it, but he didn't rant and rave about it. He just went about his way and tried to correct it. Mistaken Chief enlisted in the Canadian Army at the age of 17 in 1941. He fought in the Battle of Ortona in Italy, one of the most violent, intense encounters of the war. I felt part of those men back then. Mistaken Chief is quoted in Allison's book, but when I got back home, I found I was an Indian again. Mistaken Chief re-enrolled in high school in 1978 and furthered his education by obtaining a degree in management, graduating at the same time with 2 of his 12 children. Daughter Elfrida Hunt recalls her father as blessed with natural intelligence and an ability to absorb the legal details of child welfare, Indian Act, and criminal law. He was self-taught. He had boxes and boxes of the original Indian Act that he could quote without seeing it, Hunt recalled. Mistaken Chief lobbied the federal government for better Native education and on a variety of human rights issues. He obtained many accomplishments during his life, but to him, education and learning more was always the priority. He held a seat on Blood Tribe Council and assisted with establishing various projects for the Blood Tribe, such as obtaining housing funding and assisting with the construction development. He was a founding member of the Blood Tribe Agricultural Project. He performed intense research for the Blood Tribe Lands Department. He was an active voice for his people and left quite a legacy. Stephen Mistaken Chief was a well-respected elder of the Blood Tribe and will be greatly remembered, lest we forget. Gunner Stephen Mistaken Chief enlisted in the Canadian Army active on the 4th of June 1941, served in Canada, Britain, Central Mediterranean area, and Northwest Europe, and was honorably discharged the 29th of September, 1945. Cardston, Alberta, a Second World War veteran who fought for equal benefits for Aboriginal soldiers, has died in hospital in southern Alberta. Stephen Mistaken Chief, 84, was the last surviving veteran of the war from the Blood Reserve in Alberta. Mistaken Chief, who died Wednesday, enlisted in the Canadian Army at the age of 17 in June 1941 and fought in the Battle of Ortona in Italy, one of the most violent, intense encounters of the war. Gunner Mike Oka Sr. Gunner Mike Oka enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 28th of January 1942, served in Canada, Britain, Central Mediterranean area, and Northwest Europe, and was honorably discharged the 7th of January 1946. He serviced 44.5 months and 12 days. Gunner Mike Oka, Campaign Medals: 1939 to 1945 Star, Italy Star, France and Germany Star, Defense Medal, Canadian Volunteer Service Medal and Clasp, War Medal 1939 to 1945. Mike was 18 years old when he enlisted. Before enlistment, Mike was a farmer laborer. At time of enlistment, Mike was posted to General Rains, CA. He disembarked overseas on June 4, 1942. On May 21, 1942, he was awarded the Canadian Volunteer Service Medal and Clasp. On May 21, 1942, Mike was wounded shrapnel artillery fire in the United Kingdom. October 26, 1944, he was redesignated to Land and Ren Scott and shipped to Italy. On September 24, 1945, Mike was awarded the Italy, France, and Germany Stars. Of his $16 a month pay, he kept only $1.50 for himself and sent the rest to his mother. Mike returned home only to hear that his mother had passed. He achieved his goal of being a successful farmer and rancher and husband to Mary Louise Oka. They raised 4 boys and 9 girls. He'd served as a lifetime counselor, and when the federal government implemented the 2-year election system, Mike was elected. Private Horace Quennell. Private Horace Quennell enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 3rd of July 1940, served in Canada, Britain, and Central Mediterranean area, and was honorably discharged on 14th of June 1945. Private Andrew Standing Alone. Private Andrew Standing Alone enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 10th of January 1942, served in Canada, and was honorably discharged the 28th of June 1943. Private John Tallow Quennell. Private John Tallow Quennell enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 4th of June 1941, served in Canada, Britain, and Central Mediterranean area, and was honorably discharged on the 3rd of March 1944. John Tallow Quennell. Date 1940, before leaving for overseas in Canadian Army. Leading Aircraftman Stephen Wadsworth. Leading Aircraftman Stephen Wadsworth enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force, RCAF, on the 11th of March 1943, served in Canada, and was honorably discharged the 10th of November 1945. Also re-enlisted in the RCAF regular on the 29th of September 1951, served in Canada, died the 11th of September 1952. Leading Aircraftman Stephen Wadsworth. Date 1943. William Wadsworth Sr. and his son, Stephen, an Army recruit. Stephen went overseas and served in Italy. Gunner William Wadsworth. Gunner William Wadsworth enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 10th of December 1941, served in Canada, Britain, and Central Mediterranean area, and was honorably discharged on the 7th of November 1944. Gunner Frederick Weaselfat. Gunner Frederick Weaselfat enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 10th of January 1942, served in Canada and Britain, and was honorably discharged on the 28th of February 1944. Private Arthur Wells. Private Arthur Wells, enlisted in the Canadian Army, active on the 2nd of January 1942, served in Canada, Britain, and Northwest Europe, and was discharged on the 11th of October 1945. Korean War Monument. Private Reginald Crop-Eared Wolf. Private Reginald Crop-Eared Wolf, enlisted in the Canadian Army Regular on the 7th of June 1951, served in Canada and the Far East, and was honorably discharged the 7th of June 1957. Guardsman William Sandy Eagleplum. Guardsman William Sandy Eagleplum, enlisted in the Canadian Army Regular on the 26th of February 1952, served in Canada, continental Europe, and the Far East, and was honorably discharged the 30th of May 1955. Private Gilbert Healy. Private Gilbert Healy, enlisted in the Canadian Army Regular on the 4th of March 1954, served in Canada and continental Europe, and was honorably discharged on the 26th of November 1957. Private Gilbert Healy served as a private with the Princess Patricia Canadian Light Infantry from March 1954 to November 1957. His service number was SM-10361. Guardsman Ray Manychief. Date 1940 to 1945. Raymond Manychief, in Canadian uniform, served with the 49th Battalion, Edmonton, Alberta. Guardsman Ray Manychief, enlisted in the Canadian Army Regular on the 10th of March 1952, served in Canada and continental Europe, and was honorably discharged the 31st of March 1955. Vietnam War. Lance Corporal Jeffrey Bullshields. Cecil Holy White Man. Cecil Holy White Man, Bremerton, Washington. Holy White Man Family Cemetery, Standoff, Alberta, TOL 1YO. Bremerton, Washington, 98337. Grave location. Birth, May 21st, 1946. Death, January 22nd, 2006. Age 59. Branch, U.S. Marine Corps. War, Vietnam. Private Alvin Manychief. February 14th, 1973 to October 3rd, 1973. Lance Corporal Joseph Prairie Hen. Lance Corporal Joseph Prairie Hen. Recent conflicts. Sergeant Preston Crow Chief. The 20th Independent Field Battery, Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Son of Calvin Crow Chief and Geraldine Slay. Bombardier Keisha Potts. Bombardier Keisha Potts, 20th Independent Field Battery, Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Bombardier Keisha Potts, daughter of Angela Whitegrass Potts. Master Corporal Melissa Whitegrass. Master Corporal Melissa Whitegrass, 20th Independent Field Battery, Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. Master Corporal Melissa Whitegrass, daughter of Angela Whitegrass Potts. Master Corporal Melissa Whitegrass, February 16, 2012, a special honor for a local soldier who went above and beyond the call of duty during a tour in Afghanistan. She was part of a NATO convoy in Kabul that day when a suicide bomber detonated an improvised explosive device. She helped recover the bodies of 6 soldiers killed in the blast and at the same time assisted other injured soldiers and provided security, all while being badly hurt herself. Pat Sidlecki. Master Corporal Melissa Whitegrass. Corporal Ray Manychief, Construction Engineer Squadron, Maintenance CFB, Cold Lake, Alberta, Canada. Corporal Ray Manychief, son of Pierre and Carol Manychief. Private Kendrick Fox, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, CFB, Shiloh, Manitoba, Canada. Private Kendrick Fox, son of Clark and Annette Breesthead. Corporal John Davis, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Corporal John Davis, son of Wesley and Janine Davis. Sergeant Jonathan Bruce Fox, United States Army. Sergeant Jonathan Bruce Fox, son of Lambert and Yvonne Fox. Specialist Charles Gladstone, United States Army. Specialist Charles Gladstone, son of Ivan Singer and Rowena Gladstone. Private Tricia Willows, United States Army. Private Tricia Willows, daughter of Patrick Crowchief and Maxine Bighead. Lance Corporal Jamie Robert J.R. Fox, United States Marines. Lance Corporal Jamie Robert J.R. Fox, son of Lambert Fox and Yvonne Fox. Corporal Deborah Craig Ironshirt, United States Marines. Corporal Deborah Craig Ironshirt, son of Bessie Ironshirt. Jose Manybears, United States Marines. Jose Manybears, son of Rosella Manybears. Alex Mills, no information at this time. Corby Scout, son of Barbara Scout. Sheldon Scout, son of Barbara Scout. Petty Officer 2nd Airman Jonathan Manybears, United States Navy. Petty Officer 2nd Airman Jonathan Manybears, son of Bruno and Corinne Manybears. Special recognition of founding members by Dorothy First Rider, daughter of Mary Louise Oka, President, Kainai War Veterans Committee. Mary Louise passed away on November 11th, 2013. Founding members, Kainai War Veterans Committee. Since 1995, Mary Louise Oka, President. Founding members, World War II Gunner Edward Brave Rock, Ed Chief Moon. Founding members, Bibian Eagle Child, World War II Gunner Stephen Mistaken Chief. Founding members, Ruth Quennell McClanahan, Christine Tallow. Thanks to participants, Tribal Government Committee Council, Dorothy First Rider, Maria Russell, Travis Plaited Hair, Piinaakoyim Tailfeathers. Thanks to participants, Elder Charlie Crowchief, Veterans Family Representative Mike Oka Jr., drummers Wiley Weasel Moccasin, Jeremy Oka, Christopher Weasel Moccasin. Credits, Tribal Government Department, Annabelle Cropbeard Wolf, Coordinator. Staff, Verdon Heinbull, Morning Owl, Lorna Daychief, Monica Blackwater, Lanny Wolfchild. Credits, Communications Department, Pam Blood Coordinator. Staff, Todd Eaglechild, Lenora Manyfingers, Beta Bastine. Presentation by Tribal Government and External Affairs Department, Verdon Heinbull, Morning Owl, Mike Tailfeathers. Communications Department, Todd Eaglechild, Joey Sugai. Photo and additional contributions, RCL, Glenn Miller. Thank you to the veterans' families who have supported their veterans at services since 1995. Photos of past ceremonies to follow. In Flanders Fields, Blackfoot version by Dr. Lena Russell. Blackfoot translation honors Indigenous veterans. Blackfoot and English language posts are made available in collaboration with veteran Glenn Miller.